Hello, good evening. It's 6 p.m. in Washington, D.C., United States, and 10 p.m. in Accra, midnight in Berlin, Germany. I'm Stephen Enti, and this is NEWSAT10. We're live on TV and on 3FM 92.7. Let's start with the major news highlights of the day. Kweku Adobole, a convicted former UBS trader, has been temporarily saved from deportation to Ghana. Lawyers for Mr. Adobole, 38, who was jailed for 7 years in 2012 on 2 counts of fraud that resulted in £1.4 billion losses, have been told they've won a temporary stay on his deportation amid fears that his removal is hours away. Immigration Minister Caroline Nook said in a letter that all foreign nationals sentenced to more than 4 years are subject to automatic deportation unless there are compelling reasons for them to remain. And President Akufo-Addo has urged the new Vice-Chancellor of the University of Education, Winneba, to promote reconciliation in the university. Speaking at the investiture of Very Reverend Father Professor Anthony Afo-Boni, the President said the ceremony is taking place at the heels of recent disturbing issues in the university. The limited voter registration has resumed at Chereponi in the northern region after the chief of the town called for the exercise to be halted. According to the head of communications at the Electoral Commission, Eric Jakpasu, a district security council meeting has resolved the challenge to pave way for the exercise to continue. Those were our major news highlights. Remember, you can hear me live on 3FM 92.7, and we're streaming on Facebook and on 3news.com. Let's start with our very first story. Kweku Adobole, a convicted former UBS trader, has been temporarily saved from deportation to Ghana. Lawyers for Adobole, 38, who was jailed for 7 years in 2012 on 2 counts of fraud that resulted in £1.4 billion in losses, have been told they've won a temporary stay on his deportation amid fears that his removal is hours away. Immigration Minister Caroline Nook said in a letter that all foreign nationals sentenced to more than 4 years are subject to automatic deportation unless there are compelling reasons for them to remain. Adobole's lawyers had lodged judicial review and injunction against the deportation on grounds of public interest on Tuesday at 2 p.m. and by 5:20 p.m. they were told that both applications were successful until such time as the outcome of the review is determined, according to a friend and campaigner Nick Hopewell-Smith. Right, let's get on to Skype now. We do have Dr. Theo Echiampong, who is a senior analyst at IHS Market London. Good evening, Doc. Thank you very much. Now, we can look at the life after his conviction. As a rogue trader, does that have prospects in the United Kingdom?
Actually, after his conviction, and good evening to your listeners. After his conviction back a few years ago, he's actually been fairly on the quiet, living with his family, part in London, but also in Edinburgh in Scotland. And he actually has been involved with quite some significant community work, including, being a lecturer of sorts in things to do with financial crimes and then, financial risk management, using the example of what he personally went through working, at the front line of investment banking in the City of London. So he's been quite involved, I must say, with different bits of work, like I said, including community support work in London and then in Edinburgh. And that's what he's largely been doing since he left prison.
And I know that as his conviction was a kind of a shock to the banking sector in the United Kingdom at the time. Would you say that a lot of lessons have been learned after Adobole's conviction? I mean, moving away from his personal experiences and all the challenges he faced with his deportation, has what happened to him brought any lessons to the financial sector in the United Kingdom generally?
Oh, yes, absolutely. A lot of changes have taken place, but it's important to put on the record that, you know, when you work within the financial sector and particularly investment banking, at the front line, these are areas or environments that are highly pressured, and sometimes the decision making is one in which people are driven in pursuit of risk, but also in pursuit of significant returns. So following his conviction, a number of the investment banks working in the City of London have actually put in place some mechanisms, but we've also had the industry regulator, the Financial Conduct Authority, come out with certain regulation and guidelines that is meant to forestall any such, you know, rogue trades or occurrences from happening in the future. The banks themselves have put in place, you know, internal mechanisms and schemes. So, for example, when it comes to how they report their trades and how the trades are booked within the system, there's a lot more, you know, transparency around that within the banking setup. And then subsequently, if the banks do discover any such untoward trade that had happened, they are now bound by law to actually report it in a much more faster and transparent process to the Financial Conduct Authority.
I know that people like yourself, who is a Ghanaian and works in influential positions in the United Kingdom, may have seen what happened to Kweku Adobole as perhaps a wake-up call. I want to find out whether, with all the things surrounding his conviction and his attempts to deport him, has that affected how well, Ghanaian professionals living in the United Kingdom are treated or seen when it comes to issues of trust at the workplace?
Not at all. And let's just put this on the record that, you know, whether one is working in the United Kingdom or they're working in Ghana or indeed any other country for that matter, there are laws and regulations that bound, you know, us with what we do. And number two, because we are also professionals, you know, we're supposed to actually work with a certain level of, you know, integrity and personal conviction in what we do. Specifically with regards to Adobole and him being Ghanaian, it has not affected me personally, and neither do I know of that actually affecting Ghanaians working in the professional circles in the United Kingdom, or much more specifically, you know, working in the City of London. Adobole is not the only person who has been convicted of financial crimes and fraud in the history of banking. Certain ones have taken place, including a French national who was working at Société Générale. And then we had the incidents in the early 80s that led to the black, you know, market crash of 86 or 87 thereabouts. So it's not untoward, but I must say that Ghanaians have not been affected.
Right, Dr. Champong, we're grateful for your time. Dr. Theo Champong there, thank you very much, Dr. Champong. I'm Stephen Enti. This is News at 10. You can hear me live on 3FM 92.7. We're streaming also on Facebook. We'll be right back with more news. Please stay. Welcome back. Now, the limited voter registration has resumed at Tereponi in the northern region after the chief of the town called for the exercise to be halted. According to the head of communications at the Electoral Commission, Eric Jakbasu, a district security council meeting has resolved the challenges to pave way for the exercise to continue.
The limited voter registration suffered a setback when the chief of Tereponi called for the halt of the process in the town According to the chief, he does not want he and his people to lose their loyalty to the Dagbon tribe. The Dagbon tribe swears allegiance to the Yana who enskins the chief of Chiripone. There was a district security council meeting to resolve the problem.
There's a residential requirement. So you need to go to where you are resident permanently or ordinarily resident to register. So far it has been good, it has been orderly. Nothing untoward has happened except in Chiripone, where we had some hitch, but that one too has been resolved by the DISEC and the exercise is going on smoothly now at Chiripone.
The registration is an opportunity for Ghanaians who have recently attained the voting age of 18 and adults who for various reasons could not register during the previous registration exercise in 2016. Phase 1, which is the Zone 1 registration, is made up of 47 districts demarcated for the December 27 referendum to create the 6 new regions: the Oti area in the Volta region, the Western North in the Western region, the Savannah and Northeastern in the Northern region, as well as Bono East and Ahafo in the Bono Ahafo region.
What we are doing at the moment is that we are registering directly onto the VMS, which is installed in the district offices. So in effect, we are not sending the BVRs to the kids. So applicants are required to go to the district offices, apply, then you'll be registered there, and then you take your ID card. Then the data also goes immediately to hit the data center. That makes it online.
Phase 2 or Zone 2 will be after the exercise is completed.
Modalities and the time will be communicated in due course.
The voters register will be exhibited for people to verify their data in terms of names, age, polling station and polling codes. The law requires that on an annual basis, the Commission revises the voters register by undertaking a limited voter registration exercise.
Meanwhile, the Dagbon Traditional Council, at the instance of the paramount chief of the Chiripone traditional area, Malba Jaminja Kofi, has petitioned President Akufo-Addo protesting the inclusion of Chiripone district in the proposed northeast region.
The petition stated that Chiripone is an integral and inseparable part of Dagbon and will not be allowed to be added to any proposed new region. The petition recalled the unanimous resolution of the Dagbon Traditional Council not to cede any part of Dagbon for the convenience of creating new regions and reiterated that this position had not changed.
Now, there are increasing concerns over the deplorable nature of the Eastern Corridor Road, which has worsened following the onset of the rains. A delay in executing the project has renewed doubts over government's commitment towards its completion. Here's a report by my colleague Evelyn Tingma.
This is common at Jumbocherry in the Volta region. Roads in communities including Bontibo, Bonache, Potripo number 2, Jumbocherry, Tikoti, all in the Nkwanta South municipality are deplorable. Inhabitants here are predominantly farmers, with yam, maize and cassava being major crops they cultivate. Due to the bad nature of the roads, food crops are usually left to rot on the farms because owners of commercial vehicles refuse to ply. The Motor King are the only ones aiding farmers, but they also do not have it easy carrying produce to market centers, particularly during the raining season.
The road is terrible. We even struggle to get the farm produce here. We usually experience breakdown of our vehicle.
Passengers complain of hardship. We also don't get anything. Money to buy fuel is even a challenge.
The farmers say they do not have anything to show for their toil. All these tubers of yam go for 50 cedis at Bonache, a town in a Nkwanta South municipality.
Sometimes it takes 2 weeks before the car brings our goods to the market square. We are really suffering.
The bridge has collapsed as a result. we find it difficult to transport our farm produce to the various towns.
Farmers say they take loans, yet run at a loss. This is the state of the bridge at Bontebo. Lives definitely are at risk if immediate attention is not given to it. Most communities have been cut off as a result. Flood water and weeds had also taken a part of the road at Jumbocherry. Residents say a misunderstanding between inhabitants and drivers who had wanted to turn the town roads into the main road resulted in gunshots, where about 5 people were injured and hospitalized. The MP for Nkwanta South, Geoffrey Kinney, confirmed it.
The town roads and the community refused. It resulted to a fight, and the police commander, they came to talk to the people and promised them that they were going to take the matters up.
He contends he cannot fix the roads alone and asked government to intervene by completing the Eastern Corridor Road.
A lot of our road network has been flooded, and as a result of this, most of our communities have been cut off. As we speak now, a lot of farmers are suffering because they cannot transport their farm produce to the market centers. When they get sick, they have to transport themselves to the nearest health center. Is also a problem.
Until the roads here are reconstructed, residents will continue to wallow in abject poverty. Evelyn Tinkman, TV3 News, in Nkwanta South, Volta Region.
And that's it for News at 10. On behalf of the crew, good night and thanks for your time. I'm Stephen Ante.